Yep.
So hello and welcome to another series of Awaken to Your Crystal Origins. I am Nilesh Mystery. Many know me as Meti, and here today with me is Melanie Easom, who is my sister in the Crystal Origins. Over to you, Mel.
Hi. Just to say that this episode is going to be a discussion about the new human and our galactic connections.
Oh.
So it's going to be quite interesting.
I know. Go on then, you start. Let's go.
Well, people seem to think nowadays that it's in this awakening, it's just us. And it's about the connection back to source, which in a way it is.
Yeah.
But also that we have many other connections as well. And I think people are coming to find this in either dreams, connections with their hybrid children, the pictures that are coming through of beings, the languages that are being activated. And when I say that, I mean the light language, star languages that are coming from the universe, i.e. like Arcturian, Palladian, Andromedan, Syrian. I could go on and on and on. These are our galactic connections. And a lot of people now are being contacted by the councils, by the Galactic Federation, the Council of Light, and they are really our guides and our cousins and our family. People out there that are awake are realizing this. It's probably going to be quite a shock to those that are newly awakened and haven't really got to grips with the fact that we have those galactic connections.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's always been a very you and them scenario. And a lot of people now are coming to understand and believe that, as I do, that they are our family. You know, and that's where our connections are. And that's ultimately where we come from. You know, we come from the stars.
We do. You're right. I think the stages of it now is what you're talking about. So it's like when you first start with your, when you first start to awaken, you realize that something isn't quite right in regards to the way the world is. We look at, I've talked about this before, but we'll go over it again. Talk about our heads of state and the fact that there's so much disparity in regards to, freedom and material kind of financial gain as well. There is 1% of the 1% that's the richest on the planet. How can that be the case? So you start to question that element of it, and why is that the case? And then you start to look at your governments, and then you start to look at conspiracy theories. And, conspiracy theories are a really great way of expanding your awareness, expanding your mind. It doesn't matter whether you, believe in everything you see or hear. It's more just engaging in critical thought, in critical thinking and having a look at whether it feels and resonates with you. And then, from conspiracy theories, it takes you that little bit further, doesn't it? You start to talk about the cabal, and we start to talk about the Illuminati, because those two link in. We look at the financial wealth of planet Earth, and 13 of the richest families are rich. We're not talking billionaires, we're talking quadrillionaires. They are very, very, very wealthy and have no problem with the financial wealth that they have, not equally distributed on this planet, as we know. So you look at that, and you look at the Bilderberg groups, and it takes you to that level. And then you start, this is what you're talking about now. We're talking about the how it links into the galactics. Then you start looking a little bit further, because once you start talking about the Illuminati, they start bringing in some dark stuff, the fact that they do worship, the god Moloch, and the fact that it is very much linked to, Satan, Lucifer, Hillel, whatever label you want to give him. And all these dark practices and rituals, and how that's connected to our celebrity world, Hollywood, our music industry, and you know, even our heads of government, you know, heads of state, and this is a reality. It's true. And then it links into a little bit further. It's like, where does this come from? And then we look at the reptilian side of it, and this is where you start to delve into the galactic side of things, you know, understanding reptilians, and that's when it opens up your own awareness of galactics. And then, you know, it leads on to other galactics, which are far more, you know, nicer, like the Palladians and the Arcturians and the Lyrans, you know, and it brings in that. But then you've also got the other element, which we're talking about, the greys and the mantid beings as well. I wouldn't say they are dark. I would just say that they have made contracts with the reptilians, and this is why they do what they do, and this is why they kind of, you know, do what they do for the reptilians. So you know, and as we go forward and when ascension happens, that will all change, which I'm aware of. But yeah, and then you start to discover more about your own galactic roots, you know, and it doesn't just come through just reading. It also comes through your own knowing, your meditation. You'll be shown a life in a particular star system. For example, we look at the Pleiades. Well, I'm specifically and very connected to the star Merup. I have no idea why. You know, I suspect I've lived many lives on there, but for some reason I have a very strong connection to that particular planet. Not any other planets, you know, we call them the Seven Sisters, but yeah, Merup is the one that I'm very, very connected with, and I'm sure you have one too, Mel, right?
I'm very connected to Sirius. Yeah.
See? Awesome.
Yeah, we do tend to I mean, one of my main languages that when I speak light language, star language, galactic language will be Syrian. Although obviously there are all the others as well, but that is predominantly my main one. And I think that's obviously because it's such a large connection, such a draw to Sirius and various Sirius beings, because obviously there's not just one type. There are many from Sirius, and I think this is where, you know, we start to open up and realize how many. I don't like to call them extraterrestrials. I like to call them extra celestials.
That's a very nice name.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds far nicer. And I don't care for the alien aspect either, because they're us, we're them, they're our family. So I like the celestial side of it. I
do. I use brothers and sisters because that's who they are to us. You know, they are family, and you might not know that and might not be aware of that awareness yet, but you will come to it. And it's a stepping stone projection. Everyone goes through this, you know, we all go through this process, you know, and you're not excluded from it. You will discover your galactic being side of you, and you'll be really amazed. And it moves on then, doesn't it? You know, you look at like divine counterparts and twin flames, and no such thing as twin flame, but you know, it's you know, your particular vibration that you you know, are in tune with or in match with. They exist here too. So and you know, the other thing is, like, there's many people, many light workers, light warriors want to get off the planet. The reality is you'd be on your own. They're all here. There's a queue out there waiting to come onto the planet. So it's all happening here, and you know, as it should be, because ascension is a really important part of you know, what we're doing here. So yeah, I think
those people that are awake and that do have the abilities to, I say whether it's lucky or not, to be able to see these beings on occasions. I've seen somebody shape shift on various occasions, and thank goodness that I was already awake. I don't think obviously it would have happened if I wasn't aware. Otherwise it would have literally frightened the bejeebers out of me. It was still quite surprising. And I think as well, when we've been in groups as well, when we've been meditating, if people are in that situation, if they are like that, they'll sometimes look up and they'll see the person opposite. They'll see a different aspect. So it is being put into people's visions and at the front of people are being made more aware of those connections. And hopefully it's not so much of a shock to people. Some it is, because obviously some people are very awake and have become very awake very quickly. So I'm sure in those instances it is a very, very big shock.
Yeah. There's no choice is the real answer to all of this. You know, the vibrations that have been sent on the planet that are staying here and continue to stay here are awakening many of you. And you know, you are having to choose between like being here and being awakened and, you know, being part of the ascension, you know, journey, or not being here. And many of you making your choices with that. And there's no judgment one way or another, and there's no right or wrong or good or bad. It's just, you know, whether you can hack the energies here. And you know, it's catalyzing a lot of people, even those who are really high vibe, they get catalyzed. I still have them. Because you know, the thing is, people will go, oh, why? You know, you're angelic, you're one of the highest vibrations. Yes, that is true. I am one of the highest vibrations, but I'm also human. And therefore I also have a human element to me. And that's why many angelics, all of them are all here. You know, we came here to help humanity, and part of that is bringing in that angelic vibration, bringing in Father God Source's vibration, you know, and you can only do that if you're human. You can only be on this planet if you're human. Yes, there are hybrids, I'm aware of that. Yes, there are clones, I'm aware of that. That's another, you know, big, huge subject in itself. But they can't stay here for very long. The bodies don't last very long because it's not how it's meant to be. You know, there's a process to it. There's an agreement to it. So yeah, there's that element too. So don't forget your human element too. You are human. You know, although you've got the galactic side in, it's very much changing. And I agree with you, sis, you know, the fact that there is this kind of change happening with a human being. We're starting to talk in light language. We're starting to connect with vibration. We're starting to aware that we have these galactic connections. We're starting to connect more with source, and not just one source, but many other sources. Many humans are coming into the awareness that they are source themselves, you know, and that is true. You know, I have memories of, you know, contacting conversations with many sources to say, can you come and incarnate on planet Earth? I want your vibration there. And they all agreed. And that wasn't just me asking. I didn't ask all of them. There was many of you that asked as well. You know, and because of that, that's why humanity is changing. That's why we're, you know, becoming more aware. And this is the time that everyone's been waiting for. You know, people who have been awakened for a long time have been saying, when are we going to see 5D? When are we going to see the changes? Well, here we are. You know, we're on that precipice of change, aren't we? Everything's changing around us more than we realize. Yeah.
I think we've got we've got way further to go, but as we go forward and as we work through our vibration and, like you say, the activations that we have constantly, that we connect with those different aspects of ourselves, the oversoul, and a lot more connections from the galactics start to come in, you know, whether it's future you, a present, you know, in this aspect that you hold with you, whether it's a past aspect, you know, of wherever you've been. But there are so many things, so many beings that you have been and that you have connections with. It's mind-blowing.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that come forward now, aren't we? So kind of that's what it's all about, right? That level of connection, that level of awareness, the ability to communicate with them and share memories of where you've been, what you've been, how you've done it, you know, all that kind of stuff. And connecting with many of those around you that also have done the same thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I've connect with people in our group around me, and those galactic connections, probably I'd say a year ago, weren't even there. You know, it wasn't there with some people. They are now. You know, in a year they've moved on dramatically, and that's through the activation of light language, which is then they've gone on to write it. A friend who is now in that situation just one day was sat at the table and started talking. I mean, she was doing it anyway, talking light language, star language, and her 6-year-old little girl just sat there and started talking back to her. It was just the norm. And this is where we're going. People don't realize that, you know, the children that are coming in now and that are already here, and which I find is absolutely wonderful. It's the norm. It's completely the norm for them. You know, they have no ego. They have nobody telling them, you know, in a lot of instances, luckily, no, you can't say that. You know, what you're saying is gibberish, what you're talking about, because the parents are awake. Yeah. So it's wonderful. You know, these children are just there. They just speak it. It's just, they know. It's brilliant. It's normal. And I think that's a big thing. It's the aspect of actually to get to grips with all of this and to say, yeah, this is us. This is normal. This is who we are.
Yeah, totally. Star language of the future.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, normal aspect. I mean, it's also when we get the downloads as well. It's like with my actual aspect of writing, how it activates people is it is literally a package of information, very compact information that comes into the energy body, into the person, that then they download and activates the DNA, that activates the frequency, and then will bring in the language. So there are lots of forms out there for people to be able to get in touch with their galactic aspects. Some people may even have a dream where they wake up in the morning and they've been activated. I saw one today on Facebook where he said that he woke up and felt the energies and couldn't stop moving his hands. And he just went with it and then just started to speak. So that was just somebody waking up like that. So it's happening in all forms, shapes, people, you know, places. It's amazing. It's brilliant.
It's pretty cool. I love it.
It's good for, I think, for those of us who are on this path and have an understanding of what it all is. For those, like we say, for those that have just started within this, especially this shutdown of this past 8 weeks, it can be a little bit daunting. It was for me. I mean, and what happened to me? I mean, mine was 18 months, 2 years ago. That was like, whoa, what on earth is this? So yeah, it sometimes takes a lot to get your head around it, but you get there in the end. You just have to open up and sit with it and go, you know, it's why you're here. Exactly.
If Sis, if someone wanted to get hold of like some of the light language that you do, because obviously the light language you do is very unique and it comes from a particular place that me and you are familiar with, how would they gain access to that? Because obviously people will be going, I love the fact we're talking about it, but we also want to see some of it. I want to be activated or enlightened or get, you know, the package of information you're talking about. How would they do that with you?
They can get me through my website, which is melanieeasom.com, or my Facebook page, which is under my name as well, Melanie Easom, and the same on Instagram, which is Melanie Easom. And I do various things either with BQH, which is Beyond Quantum Healing, which is a form of past life regression, which we can go down the lines of activating and using star language, or just a one-on-one consultation where I will sit with somebody and go through an activation with them as well.
Cool. We can link all of that information in the description box, so you don't have to worry about trying to pause the video and trying to find it. That's fine. So yeah, brilliant, wonderful, fantastic. I love it. Okay, I think that's everything for this series. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this, and you know, I hope it's helped someone out there. That's wonderful, because that's kind of the whole reason why we're doing this. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again.
Yeah, see you next time. Thanks, Nilesh. Bye.
Bye.